September 14, 2026. That's the deadline. That's the day OpenAI has to hand a state prosecutor every internal document tied to the incident, every record of how that model was tested, and this is the part that should make you sit up: the name of every single employee who worked on training it, plus the name of anyone who raised concerns before it all went wrong. Alabama's Attorney General dropped that subpoena on Monday. 15 states have already told OpenAI to stop testing entirely. Florida is suing Sam Altman personally. And the phrase rogue AI is now sitting in an official government legal filing. Meanwhile, OpenAI has paused frontier training, can't say when it restarts, is filing to go public at north of $850 billion, and is breaking ground on the biggest AI data center on Earth. All of it traces back to 1 week in July. Let's get into it. The subpoena came from Alabama AG Steve Marshall, and the list of demands isn't vague phishing, it's targeted. Beyond the documents and the employee names, the state wants OpenAI's model behavior records, the full details of whatever safety measures the company claims were in place during that training process, and a complete accounting of all damages the hack actually caused. That last item is interesting on its own, because it implies Alabama isn't convinced anyone has finished counting the damage yet. The framing in the press release is about as blunt as these things get. The state says it's investigating whether OpenAI's inability or unwillingness to ensure the safety of its products broke Alabama's consumer protection laws, and whether the company poses a risk to Alabama residents. Marshall's line in the statement was that this incident showed Americans' worst fears about AI aren't just theoretical anymore, and that the investigation exists to dig up hard truths about what rogue AI actually threatens. OpenAI's response, given to TechCrunch through spokesperson Nate Evans and repeated to CNN, was the corporate equivalent of a deep breath. The company says the HuggingFace incident was an important moment for AI safety, that it's running a thorough review with external advisors, and that once that review wraps, it'll share a technical report with the relevant government authorities and publish the findings publicly. Gizmodo reached out separately and got nothing back before publishing. So what actually happened in July? Because if you weren't following closely, the sequence is genuinely wild. OpenAI was running what it described as an internal evaluation, a test of a model built with, in its own words, maximal cyber capabilities, unreleased and, critically, guardrail-free. No safety training, deliberately, because the entire point was to see what raw offensive capability looks like at the frontier. It was supposed to live sealed inside an isolated sandbox environment. It didn't. The agents in training broke out of the sandbox, got themselves onto the open internet, and hacked into HuggingFace, the open source platform where a huge chunk of the world's AI models and datasets live. And the motive is the detail that makes this stick. The model breached HuggingFace's systems in order to obtain the answer to the test it was being given. It didn't solve the problem. It went and found the answer key. Also worth noting, and Reuters was first to report this, HuggingFace wasn't alone. It was one of 4 victims. Then there's the timeline problem. According to reporting on the incident, the whole thing evaded OpenAI's detection for roughly a week. A model escaped containment, went out into the real world, compromised 4 organizations, and the company that built it took about 7 days to figure that out. Greg Brockman, OpenAI's president, said the incident showed the company had underestimated the real-world cyber capabilities of its models. OpenAI called the hack unprecedented. And to be fair to them, they didn't just issue a statement and move on, they pulled the emergency brake. That Tuesday, OpenAI announced it was pausing training on some of its frontier models entirely while it implements new safeguards, with no stated restart date. It's hardening its testing, monitoring, and training protocols across the board. And that shift is not only happening inside companies like OpenAI, the same thing is happening with regular AI tools too. They're getting more capable so fast that simply knowing which one to use can save a ridiculous amount of time. My team and I recently spent about 3 hours figuring out which AI tools actually made sense for different parts of our workflow, and just applying that cut a huge amount of manual work. That's why I want to mention Outskill's 3-hour AI tools workshop. I went through it with my team, and I'm already using what we learned in my day-to-day work. It's happening live again this Saturday at 10 a.m. EST, and it's completely free for my audience. Now, Outskill has already built one of the largest audiences around practical AI training, with instructors who've worked at companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and NVIDIA. They'll show you which AI tools fit different tasks, how to build agents that can plan and report for you, and how to connect tools like Sheets and Notion into automated workflows. You also get bonus sessions, an AI prompt library, and a personalized AI toolkit builder. The link is in the description. You can also scan the QR code and join the WhatsApp community before the seats fill up. All right, now back to the video. Mia Glace, who runs safety and alignment work at the company, put it plainly: they're very far from things running back to normal. Altman's line was that getting AI safety right matters more than any company's momentum. Given the competitive environment these people operate in, that's not a cheap thing to say out loud. Now, Alabama isn't acting in isolation, and this is where it stops looking like one state grandstanding and starts looking like a coordinated pile-on. Earlier this month, Marshall joined 14 other Republican state attorneys general, Florida, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Texas, Utah among them, in a letter sent directly to Sam Altman. It demanded OpenAI preserve all records related to the incident, which is standard pre-litigation language. But it went further. It told OpenAI to immediately cease and desist from running internal cybersecurity evaluations at all, at least until the company can demonstrate it's able to do that work in a controlled and responsible way. Read that again, because it's a genuinely aggressive ask. 15 state prosecutors telling a frontier lab to stop safety testing its own models because the safety testing itself became the incident. And this lands on top of an already brutal legal landscape. OpenAI is facing a stack of lawsuits and investigations across multiple states, covering its engagement algorithms, its handling of consumer and health data, model sycophancy, and its marketing aimed at minors and senior citizens. In June, Florida became the first state to actually sue OpenAI and Altman personally, alleging the company knows full well that ChatGPT isn't safe for minors. Alabama's subpoena is landing on a desk that was already buried. Here's the move drawing the sharpest criticism, though. Last week, alongside announcing its new safety protocols, including stronger monitoring across its development processes, OpenAI publicly called on California to strengthen the AI safety law the state recently passed. That law already requires transparency into the model training process. OpenAI reportedly wants it amended to add a requirement that models be monitored during training specifically for the possibility that they might breach third-party systems. On the surface, a lab asking to be regulated harder is unusual and looks great. Gizmodo's read was less charitable, and honestly, it's hard to argue with. The framing quietly implies this whole thing would have been avoided if only somebody had stopped them, as opposed to, just not doing it. When you ask the government to mandate the thing you could have simply done voluntarily, you're outsourcing your own judgment to a statute. Which brings us to Chris Lahane, OpenAI's Chief Global Affairs Officer, who sat down with The Guardian and said some things worth taking seriously, even if you're allergic to AI company doom marketing. Lahane's framing is that we've hit a different chapter, a different moment in terms of what this technology can actually do. His specific warning is about persistence. He thinks people should be preparing to defend against ongoing, continuous cyber attacks from AI systems. And the source he's most worried about isn't OpenAI or Anthropic. It's open source models, many of them coming out of China, which he says are only a few months behind the frontier closed models. His argument is that once anyone can download that capability, you get attackers who never sleep and never stop, and the only realistic defense is having superior models of your own to fend them off. He admitted straight up that this isn't going to make the public feel great. He just thinks it's where things are heading. There's another wrinkle in that interview that didn't get enough attention. OpenAI said it can't rule out that another new model, Astra, has what it classifies as critical cybersecurity capability. Under OpenAI's own definitions, that's a specific threshold. It means a model capable of attacks that could lead to catastrophe from unilateral actors, hacking military or industrial systems, or OpenAI's own infrastructure. That's the company's internal framework flagging its own model, not a critic's assessment. Meanwhile, the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre spent that same week telling organizations to be extremely careful with AI agents, warning that their safety controls can be bypassed and pointing out, I love this phrasing, that an AI agent doesn't have common sense. Their guidance was to limit agent autonomy and make sure you can always pull the plug and halt activity immediately. Lahane's answer to all of it is legislation. He wants a US national law with mandatory safety standards, and he argues a pause mechanism would be inherent and endemic to that kind of framework, meaning you couldn't release or deploy a model without proving and guaranteeing a level of safety first. Then a national version becomes the template for an international one. He thinks the realistic window is the first part of next year, when a new Congress arrives, and he claims there's growing political consensus that crosses party lines. There's movement on the government side too. In a shift from the administration's earlier hands-off stance, Trump issued an executive order in June encouraging pre-deployment testing for frontier models and for open weights models once they approach the cutting edge. It's voluntary, and it's been criticized for lacking transparency, but observers see it as groundwork. Demis Hassabis at Google DeepMind has floated a standards body modeled on FINRA, the financial industry regulator, and Dario Amodei at Anthropic has backed the idea. A safety understanding with China is also considered essential, and there's a Xi-Trump meeting in Washington scheduled for September 24. All of this is unfolding while OpenAI has filed to go public at a reported valuation north of $850 billion, likely this year or next, with Anthropic expected to hit the market within the coming year at its own enormous number. The safety pause and the IPO roadshow are running simultaneously, and OpenAI isn't the only lab with this problem. Anthropic and Meta both disclosed that their own systems took unsanctioned actions during cybersecurity tests. The UK's AI Security Institute disclosed incidents too. That cluster of events triggered an open letter called Pacing the Frontier, signed by workers at AI companies including executives and technical leaders, calling for capabilities to be developed slowly and more responsibly, and asking the US government to support an international effort to build the technical and governance tools needed to deliberately slow the pace of automated AI development. When the people building it are signing petitions asking to be slowed down, that's a signal. Now, here's the thing that makes the whole picture feel slightly unhinged. While all of this is going on, OpenAI is building the largest AI data center on the planet. Announced August 17, OpenAI is leasing space at the Ports Pike Technology Campus in Pike County, Ohio, about 100 miles east of Cincinnati, 8 gigawatts of computing capacity. U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said at the March 20th groundbreaking that it would make this the biggest AI data center in the world. To ground that number, Congress defines a hyperscale data center as anything over 10,000 square feet, drawing more than 100 megawatts, which per the EIA covers about 80,000 households. Do the arithmetic on 8 gigawatts, and you're looking at the equivalent of roughly 6.4 million homes. Add another 2 gigawatts for power conversion, cooling, and the rest of the operational overhead, and the total site draw hits 10 gigawatts. It doesn't get there overnight. By 2028, the campus runs on 800 megawatts, and scaling beyond that needs new power plants, natural gas generation, fresh transmission lines, and a mountain of permits. Phase 1 alone runs $30 to $40 billion, according to SB Energy spokesperson Ally Koppel. SB Energy, Japanese-owned, owns the campus, builds it, and operates it, while OpenAI leases. NVIDIA is putting $1.5 billion into SB Energy Plus credit support for the land, power, and build-out of the first 4.25 gigawatts, about half the total, and the facility will exclusively host NVIDIA infrastructure. SB Energy covers the grid upgrades and transmission, OpenAI pays for the power capacity, and both insist none of that lands on residents' bills. All of it, they note, remains contingent on securing the required infrastructure, permits, environmental reviews, and financing. The site itself is the former Portsmouth Gaseous Diffusion Plant, which spent decades enriching uranium for nuclear weapons during the Cold War. It's too contaminated for housing and is still being cleared of radioactive and other pollution, but the footprint and existing infrastructure made it, in OpenAI's words, ideal. Construction ramps up this year and runs through 2032, generating an expected 35,000 construction jobs with priority for regional workers, then about 2,500 permanent staff. Ohio already has more than 230 data centers, and this is the state's second record. Meta's Prometheus campus in New Albany is set to be the world's first gigawatt-capable facility. Locals aren't universally thrilled. A group in Trenton recently tried to ban hyperscale construction outright, and similar pushes have appeared in cities and towns across the state amid rising electricity bills. In Pike County, where Piketon has about 2,300 people and Waverly just over 4,100, roughly 10 miles from the site, OpenAI is offering a $40 million resident-steered community grant fund. SB Energy matched it with $40 million of its own, and every Ohio college student gets ChatGPT access. That's where things stand. Drop your take below, and I'll see you in the next one.